Cold War Zombies leaks have left myself and many others kind of concerned that this new game may end up turning into Black Ops 4 Zombies Round 2 Electric Boogaloo. With the reason for that being that the leaks are suggesting that some of the DLC season for this new Cold War Zombies game will take a page out of Black Ops 4 Zombies playbook and really focus on remaking and remastering classic maps from the Call of Duty Zombies trilogy. If you weren't aware, around 2 weeks ago, long before the reveal of Black Ops Cold War Zombies, a leak was posted on the COD Zombies Reddit using some information released by other Zombies YouTubers DK Dynamite and TGR The Gaming Revolution. With a whole lot of information from that leak turning out to be true, it helps verify the credibility of the contents about what it's talking about in the first place. Well, the leak included a lot of things that weren't talked about or shown yet in the reveal trailer. With all of those massive details being covered in my previous video, you can click the card on the upper right if you want to check that out now or after this one's done. Because in this video, I want to focus on what I see as some of the most startling information from that leak that will really give us an idea of the direction in which Treyarch wants to take this game in the future, if indeed the contents of this leak are accurate after all. The way we're gonna do that is focusing on two maps that were specifically mentioned in the leaks themselves as possibly being remade or remastered as a DLC map in Cold War Zombies, with those two maps being Kino Der Toten and Tranzit. So let's talk about them in the order in which the maps were originally released, starting with good old-fashioned Kino. The leak itself mentions definitively that the map will be set in Berlin, and then goes on to say that it then is very likely a Kino Der Toten remake, as that original map is also set in Berlin. Speaking about this hypothetical new version of Kino Der Toten, it wouldn't just feature the map like we're used to seeing it, just like in the gameplay here in the Zombies Chronicles remastered version of Kino. Rather, it would incorporate parts or the whole of the Kino map into a larger map of Berlin. Basically in the same way that Die Maschine incorporates Nacht der Untoten into its map design, but it's still not being the primary focus of the map itself. With ultimately the goal for this from Treyarch's point of view kind of being the same thing it was during Black Ops 4 Zombies DLC season, with that being able to revisit recognizable locations from the Zombies universe that might hopefully then bring in old players that haven't played the mode for a while, for that nostalgia factor of course, while also keeping current players of the mode entertained with all of the new content in this quote-unquote remade map. Now in terms of why we'd actually have a Zombies map set in Berlin, set in Kino in Cold War, does kind of make sense from the content that Treyarch has already released, with the first cropping up in the intro video to Die Maschine, where it specifically mentions that Samantha Maxis is making her phone call from a location in East Berlin, in which she mentions that a zombie outbreak is imminent, at which point we're taken to the events of Die Maschine. So that sets the stage for a central character in the Cold War Zombies story as being already in Berlin at the beginning of the zombies outbreak, as the dark ether begins to filter into this new zombies storyline universe. But that isn't the only time we see Berlin in COD Cold War, where Treyarch might be taking a classic page out of their own handbook, using assets and parts of levels from the campaign that they may then mesh together and create an actual coherent zombies map with. Just like they did in COD World at War and in the original Black Ops, the original reveal trailer for Call of Duty Cold War, we see an actual campaign scene that very likely takes place in East Berlin, the same location where Samantha Maxis is in that original cutscene. And the reason why that's likely is because of the uniforms that the enemy soldiers are wearing in this clip, very likely being a East German police uniform. So those two factors, with the Cold War zombie storyline already partly being set in East Berlin, and with the fact that Treyarch likely has already made and created areas of East Berlin for a campaign mission, seems to help the credibility of this leak beyond what we know already. But of course, that's just one half of the topic of today's video, with the flip side of the coin being everyone's favorite map in the entire world, yours and mine, Tranzit. Ever since the reveal of Cold War, there's been rumblings in the community about a possible Tranzit remaster. In the actual reveal trailer itself, when players see this scene itself, the back of the community's mind seemed to light up in a moment and goes, it kind of looks like the diner location from Tranzit, doesn't it a little bit? I mean, it's a gas station, but it definitely has similar vibes, doesn't it? And I definitely can't agree with that. But because they're not exactly the same, we can't really hold that to being Tranzit, so we have to kind of rely on the leaks here, which say that Tranzit won't be in the game at launch, implying that it's likely to be released further down the line, which is supported by some things I'm hearing behind the scenes, as well as some Call of Duty Cold War Zombies story beats that are only now starting to bubble to the surface, and that being the possible inclusion of the Victis Crew, Stuhlinger, Milton, Marlton, and Russman from the original Black Ops 2 version of Tranzit, that they might have a part to play in Call of Duty Cold War Zombies, that they didn't end up going down for the count in Kino Der Toten, and are still hanging around somewhere in the depths of the dark ether, just waiting to make an appearance in this new universe that Cold War is based off of. Ultimus and Primus are long gone, not to be seen again. Victis, however, may end up being another story, thus connecting them to the eventual re-release of Tranzit in Cold War Zombies. Now, obviously, the map itself will be changed massively, with the setting and the time period in which the map takes place obviously are going to have to be changed, but that's really no different to what Treyarch has been doing with remaking old maps in the past, especially now with the reveal of Die Maschine, where the actual time frame has changed from the original map. That can now be applied to future remakes of classic maps, including Tranzit, to help make it a little bit more viable in the universe that Cold War Zombies has created. Which is, well, if you've been following the channel since the coverage of Cold War Zombies started, you'll know that I'm not exactly the happiest camper when it comes to the possibility of the continuation of remaking maps again and again and again. If there is a map that deserves a remake that isn't Die Rise, then it's Tranzit. It's a map that was extremely ambitious at the time of its release, but just couldn't put the whole package together and ended up being kind of a tedious mess when it got into the hands of the wider Zombies community. But the potential has always been there. The feeling of a pseudo open world Zombies map is probably best felt in Tranzit. So I can definitely see why Treyarch would want to take another crack at perfecting this idea for a map that they just really couldn't realize when Black Ops 2 came out so many years ago. But the question remains, and this is all kind of important, of how we as a community will begin to think and frame the rest of the Black Ops Cold War Zombies DLC season. Is a remake of Kino or Tranzit something that you would like to see in this game if the leaks are indeed true? For me personally, while it seems like a Kino remake or something of the sort set in Berlin is the most likely of the two to in fact be a DLC of some kind, and be really nice to see Tranzit get another shot. And for me personally, if you didn't know my kind of history with zombies, I started playing zombies back in COD World at War in 2008 with Kino Der Toten, WoW, then Black Ops, played all the way through WoW and Black Ops, but got a gaming PC around when Black Ops 2 released, so I pretty much skipped so I stopped playing zombies a bunch during Black Ops 2 Zombies, then started back up again with Black Ops 3, meaning I really didn't get to experience the best of what these Black Ops 2 maps have to offer when playing it during release back in the day, which is part of the reason why I really liked Blood of the Dead back in Black Ops 4, because it kind of felt like I was experiencing Mob for the first time in my own way. But what are your opinions on these potential maps? Let me know in the comments. I read pretty much every single one, try to reply to most that I can, but I want to thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Huge shout out to everybody that clicked that notification bell. I see you guys getting in here early, right off the bat when these videos are posted. You guys are the real deal. But I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you with another Zombies news video very soon. Peace. But honestly, this map sometimes is just something else. What Ted giveth, Ted taketh away.